Hi, and welcome to this week's Three Legs, Four Wheels F1 podcast. It's Paul here with...
Dan.
Chris.
Lee.
Are you sure?
Yep.
You didn't sound convinced.
I'm not sometimes.
I'm pretty sure it's definitely you. Otherwise, whose house are we in?
Exactly.
I'm exactly.
You are exact, Lee.
We don't have to hold the tumbleweed up. We're not filming this.
No.
No, that's all right then. Another week, another preview.
Absolutely. This time it's Baku.
Yeah.
Baku earlier on in the season than previously.
Yes, and we won't all make the same mistakes we made before the Azerbaijan Grand Prix last season, which we will kind of gloss over.
What mistakes did we make?
Well, in my case, shots. Being so drunk, I bought a hot tub.
Yes, that happened. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
that's the
thinking you were
thing.
talking about predictions we may have made.
Oh no, we'll make those predictions.
So it's the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, not to be confused with the European Grand Prix, as it was
Yes.
its first year of
So
running.
we haven't started the European season, even though we're going to be in the same location as the last time that we had a European Grand Prix.
Yeah,
Confused?
a little.
Well, as it's Baku, I can't help you with that. You'll have to work it out for yourself.
Fair enough. Okay. We do the Baku preview a bit later on. We've got
Yeah,
some
well-
news first.
We do have news. Big story of the week, certainly in one Spanish newspaper, was that apparently it is a done deal that Fernando Alonso is leaving McLaren to be replaced by Lando Norris. I'm calling bullshit.
It seems early, doesn't it, for this sort of talk?
Too early, given that we've already spoken about McLaren's B-spec car,
Yeah.
which is the MCL 33A, not confusing at all, that will be ready for Spain. So
Which, just to clarify, is in Europe.
it is in Europe, and so this will be the last race with the what is essentially an updated version of the 2017 car to fit around the Renault power unit.
Yeah.
Before the 2018 car, essentially as the 2018 car starts in Spain. So we'll see how good. I mean, I think McLaren made leaps and bounds already this year anyway. But,
definitely.
we'll just see how good that new McLaren car is before Fernando makes his decision, I think. I don't think, and no way do I think that there's a pre-contract in place already that says that Fernando Alonso is off. Unless he said years ago, I'm not doing any more after these years.
Yeah, the only way this story can be true is if he's decided now he's had enough, he wants to focus on something else.
Yeah.
Does he enjoy driving a WEC car more than he enjoys Formula One now?
He just wants to drive anything and everything that's
He wants to win.
competitive.
That's
Yeah.
the thing. He wants to win.
Yeah.
And maybe he's seen the fact that given what IndyCar did for him and the fact that WEC have literally moved their championship around for him to do all the races.
Yeah.
Maybe all of a sudden he obviously knew he was a brand, but maybe he's just realised his own market value.
Do you think he feels wanted at Toyota WEC? Right, I'm not saying he feels
They
unwanted.
moved a fucking
Yeah, I
race
know,
for
yeah.
him.
But I'm not saying he feels
Like-
unwanted at McLaren. But do you think there's that new Alonso feel that he hasn't had?
Just fresh out of the box.
Yeah, yeah.
It's got that new hat smell.
yeah. He Kimoa hat?
It smells of paella.
Yeah. Oh dear. But it's.
Do you remember the other year when somebody walked into the paddock in Barcelona and they'd made a paella and in the shape of Fernando?
No.
Vaguely, yes.
No, I can't remember that.
It was this giant 6 foot by 6 foot tray of paella that was a portrait of Alonso.
Yeah, I do vaguely remember that.
Isn't that like really, really weird spirit cooking?
Like getting Jesus on your toast and stuff like that. Yeah. I get. I wouldn't be surprised if Fernando was sort of lured away by WEC and the Toyota endurance racing that he's going to be doing, but I don't think. I think it's too early for Fernando to have thrown the towel in and said, "I'm not doing Formula One after this year," because nobody knows the what quantity that new McLaren is going to be, and they kind of surprised us by dropping that they were going to essentially launch their 2018 car in Spain. They have said all along they're a little bit behind.
Well, this does jog my memory though. Back from
Can't find the
when
Alonso one, but there's a Pedro de la Rosa paella.
Pedro de la
Oh
Rella.
dear.
That is surprisingly artistic.
I like the lemon slices all the way around the edge of the pan.
it has jogged my memory though. Back when me and Paul went to McLaren to interview Lando Norris.
Sorry, I'll just pick up that name you've dropped.
Yeah.
Well, no, guest on the podcast.
Every time do we have to do that joke?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a bit.
It's a bit shit, but
It's our people's eyebrow.
oh, okay, it can be that then. But when Lando was asked about making it to Formula One, he said obviously he was concentrating on the GP2, blah blah blah, all that normal stuff. He said, besides, he said we still don't know what Fernando's doing. He might decide to leave this year. He might decide to leave next year. We don't know. And I did find it strange
that he said that much.
Yes, and because in my head, even this year, I think Lando will be in a McLaren next year, but I'd still stick 50 quid on the fact it will be
alongside
Alonso.
Because this is something else that you touched on in the last podcast, Lee, is that if Lando does take over from Fernando Alonso, you essentially got Stoffel Van Dorn as your lead driver.
They need Lando to hit the ground running, as in how Lewis Hamilton did.
Yeah.
If that happens.
Yeah, I think what you'll end up with is, should the Spanish newspaper be correct? I can't even pronounce the name of the newspaper. I looked at it earlier. Just not a chance.
The Spanish Times.
It wasn't quite like that. But the should they be correct and
El Suno.
and Lando does replace Nando,
Yeah.
I think you'll end up with Stoffel going as well, because I don't think McLaren would just rely on those two as a driver lineup. I think they'd want a strong, experienced driver.
Strong, stable lineup.
Strong and stable lineup. Not a weak and feeble lineup.
So, okay, it's silly season time. Could they be caught in Ricciardo?
But he's meant to have signed a pre-contract agreement or letter of intent with Ferrari, according
He says-
to other unverifiable
Yeah,
sources.
he says he hasn't.
Yeah, I don't believe that yet because, I don't.
Yeah, I put a tweet out already saying that the 2019 drive market is going to be so crazy that silly season is literally going to start. Well, it's already started, but silly season is going to start so early this year. It started like Monaco, didn't it, last year?
Yeah.
And we're 2 races away from Monaco, and people are already start to talk about it. I'm going to have to put something up on the website. Sort of my prediction. I do every year, but I mean, it's getting earlier every year.
Yeah, normally at least you start it sort of after the summer break.
Well, yeah, I
Yeah.
think it was Belgium, like the first time I did it, and then the following year I think I did it sort of around about the British Grand Prix, and then Monaco. But I'm gonna have to do it before Monaco.
before the European season.
Yeah.
Well, there's that many people up this year, isn't there? There's that many contracts up.
Well, that's what makes it exciting. And I mean, if McLaren are going to bring Lando Norris in, and we think they probably are, but we suspect it probably instead of Stoffel rather than Fernando Alonso, don't we? That's what we suspect.
I think that's the most likely move. One very telling thing is that you've not seen Stoffel in a United Autosports car.
The other telling thing is Stoffel's been really slow.
In qualifying, he's been
Half a second. Constantly half a second behind Fernando.
Yeah, and he's had this is his second full year now, isn't it? In Formula One, so yeah, no excuses anymore for Stoffel. He's got to be on it.
Yeah. It's strange. Like, he ripped. I mean, this is the thing where we hope, I think all of us hope that Lando can step up to Formula One and be as impressive as he's been in other series. Unless something terrible goes on, it seems like he's going to be incredibly impressive in GP2 as well.
Yeah.
But so was Stoffel. Stoffel was massively impressive in GP2.
Yeah, nearly won the title in his first year, ripped it apart in his second year.
Again, I have gone with the theory that maybe that year that he ripped it apart, there was a bit of a brain drain on.
Was that last week we were talking about that? Yeah.
So who knows? But it just seems too quick. I don't believe Fernando will go to WEC full time, because I think the only reason he's doing it this year is because, given the situation WEC's in, and whatever Toyota of it is Toyota, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whatever Toyota have sort of given to him, given it's that you've got Toyota, then you've got a few satellite Toyota teams that are there. It seems to be a fucking given that they'll put all their might behind his car to win Le Mans.
And don't forget this WEC season, stretched over 2 years, starts and ends with the 24 hours of Le Mans.
I think
So he gets 2 shots.
Well, no,
at that.
it starts with 12 hours of Spa.
Oh, does it? I
Yeah.
thought it was 24 hours of Le Mans.
No,
Sorry.
there's 2 of them in there, but
I thought it was bookended by the Le Mans.
But I think I think Fernando Alonso will get his Le Mans win this year, and I think he'll win the WEC Championship as well.
sorry, 6 hours of Spa,
6 hours of Spa.
Actually, a sprint race.
which we'll have to preview next week.
Yeah, but given the fact that WEC is kind of in tatters, isn't it? You know, as a formula, I don't think it's somewhere Fernando would go on a full-time basis.
It had the potential to be amazing at one point.
They fucked it. They should have gone the Superstar way. I've said Superstar, not WWE. Sorry,
Yeah, it is.
They should have gone the the sports car World Championship way.
Hmm.
You know, and ran weekends like Formula One. Stopped at being an endurance series, but they didn't. I think WEC will disappear eventually. I just
Get swallowed up by something else.
Or WEC you'll end up with LMP1 falling out, and then it'll just end up being another sports car championship.
Yeah.
But I think that's probably a few years away. And I think if Fernando is going to go anywhere,
It's only Toyota deciding not to do it anymore.
yeah. I mean, if Fernando does go anywhere,
States. If he can get his
Yeah.
get his
I think he'd go
Le Mans
IndyCar.
win, IndyCar or maybe even NASCAR. You know, he can drive NASCAR till he's 105. I think is the youngest driver in NASCAR at the minute.
but yeah, he's
And that's probably somebody junior.
we don't want to get too involved with like the whole silly season thing, but
No.
we're not convinced. We do, but it's the longest conversation in the world. But we're not convinced, are we, by this Spanish newspaper report?
Don't
yet.
think so. We'll see.
I think it'd have a lot more credibility if someone like Automoto and Sport had followed up on it. But there's
The only other places where you saw that story mentioned were
Translation sites.
people mentioning that was a story in one paper, and there's been nothing from, I'll say, any sort of standard respected F1 writers or any respected writers at all.
Yeah, I mean, clearly Fernando, being Spanish, has contacts in Spain, so you could go down to well, it could be legitimate because of a family member might have accidentally blurted something out that they shouldn't have done, but because that does happen occasionally.
He's also a very intelligent guy, and he's a bright. Outside of motorsport, there's probably a decent career for him in politics. So it could even be the fact that he's slipped this out to give McLaren a kick up the ass, if to sort of sort my fucking car out.
Yeah, possibly. He knows how to keep his options open, doesn't he?
I tell you what, though, I don't think Alonso won't be in that car next year if they don't get a podium this year. They need to be up there with Red Bull.
Because he wants to win.
Yeah, because if they're up with Red Bull by let's say summer break, Spa, or just before the summer break,
Yeah.
with this new spec 2 car, if they can be up with Red Bull then by halfway through the year, then there is a. If we're looking at Ricciardo as the possible sort of outsider of a world championship now,
Yeah.
if they can be with Red Bull by the end of the year, then it's totally believable that McLaren can make another jump over the winter and next year be title contenders. But if they're still 8th and 10th come halfway through the year, then we're then looking at, well, next year they might be on the podium. And Fernando Alonso doesn't want to might be on the podium next
Yeah,
year.
he wants to be a world
He might
champion.
be wanting to be a world champion.
Yeah.
Getting into Q3 would be a start.
But if he stays in Formula One, do you think he would go? And he does leave McLaren. Do you think he would go? Do you think Mercedes might have him if they couldn't get anyone else in that seat?
I don't think Mercedes have him because of the politics. But could you imagine the money-making machine that bringing Lewis and
Alonso,
in?
Hamilton.
At Mercedes,
It'd be a stunning team.
Yeah. Even if it's just like for a year, if they had Lewis nailed down for a 4-year deal or something like that.
yeah.
because I think Lewis is clever enough as well to know that that would strengthen his own brand, especially if he could beat him.
Yeah.
Because then you would instantly have a Senna Prost situation. That would be
Well, everyone started
the
watching.
way it was all booked.
Yeah, everyone
Yeah.
started watching Formula One again when Hamilton-Rosberg was a big rivalry.
Yeah.
Hamilton-Bottas isn't a rivalry. Hamilton-Vettel could very well be a rivalry, but they're not in the same team, so it's not really the Senna-Prost thing. It's two very big rivals going at it, which is great.
I mean, the ideal thing for the viewing figures would be Hamilton and Alonso in Mercedes and Vettel and Ricciardo driving Ferraris.
Yeah.
Yeah, possibly.
That'd be built like a boxing match.
But it's very unlikely, isn't it, that Alonso would go to Ferrari, seeing as Seb had it written into his contract that he gets to veto certain drivers.
That's
And
why I don't think Ricardo's going there.
Do you think he's a veto on
Well,
Seb?
he's already beaten him in his own team.
Yeah.
Once.
Yeah. So
Under specific circumstances.
What? He was coming
he
in
was a 4-time world champion.
and number
He was
one
a
in the team.
four-time world champion, used to the blown diffuser and the whole setup of the cars
old
from the
Red Bull.
previous years. And it was a different car, and
It was the first year of the turbos.
Yeah,
yeah,
but Danny Rick had raced before the turbos came in.
Yeah.
yes,
I
but
don't-
not in a car that had so much effect from the blown diffuser.
Yeah, race winning potential.
Yeah,
I still think more experience is better than he still had the advantage in the situation.
Vettel's coming off the back of 4 world championships. He's just had what is going to be his latest number 2 promoted from the junior team.
Yeah.
And Ricciardo just got into that car and made it work a hell of a lot better than Seb did.
Yeah.
And
Seb didn't win a race that year, did he?
No.
No,
No.
Ricardo won 3, I
Yeah.
think.
It embarrassed the crap out of him.
Yeah. I mean, the conspiracy theory isn't it, that he performed badly on purpose to get out of his contract because he had a performance clause
Which
in
he
it.
did leave a year early.
Yeah. So there was a performance contract in his thing.
Performance clause in his
Performance
contract, and
clause
he hit that
contract.
performance clause.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember Vettel. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't remember Vettel ever being in a race-winning position and then throwing it away in 2014. And we are talking now 4 years ago, which is
Yeah, he had a dog of a year. He had a Lewis Hamilton 2011
yeah.
sort of year. I think 2011 was the bad one when he kept
2009 was a
kept-
really bad year.
Yeah, but wasn't that there was a year Jensen was in the car as well? I think it was 2011 where he just constantly ended up in the side of Massa.
He ended up in the side of Massa. The stewards were calling him in for
Yeah.
every race, and I think that probably was 2011.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we're trying not to get caught up in silly season, but we accidentally kind of just did.
Unfortunately, just by dint of the fact that it seems to have started early,
Yeah.
Oh well, it's a preview show. It's fine.
It's fine. Fill it out. It's all good.
fills the time out. So while we're on the subject, what do we think about all these Ricciardo rumours? Because apparently he's signing with everyone that isn't Red Bull.
I think he's going to go with Mercedes.
I think he's going to be Mercedes.
I think he's going to go somewhere.
To be honest with you, I think he's going to go to Mercedes if Valtteri Bottas doesn't lead that team. That's the only way I think Bottas can keep his seat at Mercedes.
I don't think Bottas can keep his seat at Mercedes because
He doesn't push Lewis.
he doesn't push Lewis, and that's clearly like I said last week on the show. He's doing enough to be Lewis Hamilton's Massa right now, but the fact that his job is still under threat proves Mercedes don't want a Massa for Lewis Hamilton. They want somebody to keep him honest because you could argue a relaxed Lewis isn't off pace Lewis sometimes.
They want a Webber.
Yeah,
Someone who pushes.
Yeah.
I don't think Ferrari will take Danny because of Vettel. I don't think Hamilton would have the same problem. Maybe I think he's probably more of a racer enough to just whoever's the teammate is the teammate.
I think Raikkonen will still be at Ferrari next year.
I don't think it's a bad shout. He's
Well, if Seb gets a say, then maybe he will be.
look. The top and bottom of it is, regardless of what the championship says, Kimi has been the better Ferrari driver this year. The results haven't given it.
The strategies.
We've been saying that since 2 laptops ago when we were crowded around one microphone.
Yeah.
yeah. The strategies have given it to Vettel. The I mean, it's criminal leaving Raikkonen out as long as they did in, was it China?
Yeah, it was awful.
That well, I mean, if I were Kimi Raikkonen, I'd consider handing him a notice there and then. But
Yeah.
he's a racing driver. He knows that sometimes you win some, you lose some, and he'll get his day, or at least he hopes he'll get his day.
Unfortunately, the way Ferrari are going, Kimi will only get his day this season when Vettel is 25 seconds behind him because.
But Raikkonen's
his
the kind of
engine's
number. Raikkonen's the kind of, and I'm saying this in inverted commas that nobody can see. Number two that you'd want in a leading team. Bottas isn't that same type of number two
No.
that Raikkonen is. Raikkonen can push Vettel. Raikkonen is often faster than Vettel. Bottas is rarely faster than Hamilton.
And the thing
And
is,
I don't think he pushes him like you were saying last week, Lee, about. I don't think he pushes him as hard as Rosberg was pushing him.
yeah, I
I
think
think that's a big factor.
the other thing is that Rosberg could push Hamilton when Hamilton was on a good day.
Yeah.
But for Bottas to beat Hamilton or be faster than him, he has to have but Bottas was faster in qualifying and faster in the race than Lewis in the last race.
Yeah.
But Lewis had a shit weekend.
Yeah.
It's not like he beat Lewis on his best day. It's not me being a Lewis Hamilton apologist. It's fucking facts. Now and again, over the course of the year, there will be 3 races where Lewis Hamilton simply doesn't turn up.
Yeah.
yeah.
And that was one of them.
He hasn't turned up this season yet, really. I mean, Australia, he turned up, but he kind of got shafted with a strategy for that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, the more whinging we get out of Lewis, the more Bottas needs to just ignore all that and put his foot down. Effectively.
Because they'll be the big moves this year. Right the way up and down the field. It's not just a couple of seats at the top or a few seats near the bottom. It's the whole field.
Did we decide that Lewis's contract's up this year?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Well,
Right, you've done this once. Remember when we were at the Mercedes launch?
yeah.
And part of the press conference with Toto and Lewis were the questions about when's Lewis signing his contract for next season.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's always been talks about whether Lewis would go back to McLaren. Is that a proper curveball and Lewis leaves Mercedes?
That would be a curveball.
He would have to bring the Mercedes engine with him.
Maybe.
That would be a proper curveball.
I mean, don't forget, Lewis Hamilton has never taken part in a Grand Prix where he's not been in a car powered by Mercedes.
Yeah, but he also knows what happens. Like, is this just going to be a blip on the radar of Mercedes this year? Because they need to do something. Because Ferrari is quicker. Their car is quicker than the Mercedes.
Oh, yeah. Mercedes' response to this has been, we don't panic. We sit down and we work out what we need to do to be faster than them. So, and if that takes 2 or 3 races, then it takes 2 or 3 races.
So coming towards the end of the year, does Lewis realise that he's again on a team in decline?
Maybe. We'll see. But yeah, this is the unfolding story of silly season is going to be silly and it's going to be mental.
And it's going to be a season. And this thing's going to need its own theme tune at some point.
I tell you what, I can't help think that looking at this is like it's not really a silly season thing. It's more like just looking into the future. Next year, and the way the Mercedes develops this year is going to show us whether Allison is all that. As far is he like an excellent a Formula One car designer, or is he just a good car designer?
Yeah.
Because I can't I can't shake the thing that last year Paddy Lowe's Mercedes beat Allison's Ferrari. Allison's gone to Mercedes, and they seem to have creeped backwards.
James Allison's Mercedes is beating Paddy Lowe's Williams.
Sorry, you go. Yeah. But that's fucking. I tell you what, right? I don't know what problems.
Your van could beat Paddy Lowe's Williams.
I don't know what problems Williams have got, but I don't believe those problems lie in Paddy Lowe's hands.
Deep and far-reaching and have been for years, I think.
Well, Felipe Massa's come out this week and said Williams are prioritising money over anything else.
Well, Claire Williams has come out this week and said that if there's no budget cap in by 2021, that Williams will shut shop.
Which 2 or 3 weeks ago, after the first meetings where the budget cap was discussed, she said
It would be the lifeline.
It would be
for
the
Williams.
lifeline for them.
Yeah.
So Williams are struggling in more ways than one.
Yep.
Shall we move on?
Can do.
Why not?
John Booth. Talking of those really successful
Oh,
F1
former Manor
Former
team
Manor
boss.
team boss, and-
went to Toro Rosso when they were having driver issues with Sainz Verstappen to
And
sort of quell it a little bit.
now
Well, he solved those.
By moving them both on to completely different teams.
his work here is done. He's back at Manor.
He's gone. He's left
Full-time.
Toro Rosso.
He's left Toro Rosso and he's gone back to Manor to run the Endurance Championship bid because they're in LMP1 this year.
Fair enough.
Or these years.
These years, yeah, because we're just explaining this. Yeah.
Split, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. So, where's that going to leave Toro Rosso if they end up having a driver fight? Not that I can see it happening because they appear to have got the two most laid-back drivers possible.
Well, it was. If I remember rightly, John Booth was brought in and he had a really odd title. It was something like off-track. It's something like off-track strategist or something like that. It wasn't-
Director of Racing was the official one.
Yeah, but he was,
But
he was
he-
dealing with off-track facilities and strategy or something like that. It was just like,
Is
so
it
you're
like-
not, so you're the director of racing, but you're not actually doing
HR
anything with the racing.
HR Director brackets drivers.
Yeah. Well, at Toro Rosso, there's no beef is there between Gasly and Hartley because they both in similar positions. Looks like Gasly's a bit quicker than Hartley.
Gasly looks pretty good, to be
Yeah,
fair.
he does.
I think the minute he might be, like, if he keeps going the way he is, he's got more chance of getting that fucking Red Bull drive than Sainz.
possibly.
Well, I mean, Sainz is now already sort of saying, yeah, I might stay at Renault longer than the year's loan. It looks like he's only got a contract with Red Bull for this year.
He's having a good time at Renault as well. He seems to enjoy it a lot more. You can tell by his Instagram posts, he loves being part of the Renault team.
I get the feeling there's less politics at Renault than there is in the entire Red Bull organisation, and he was caught up in both sides of it with Red Bull and
Yeah.
Toro Rosso.
Yeah.
And
The thing is, he knows that Red Bull are massively displeased with that Tag Heuer Renault engine power unit. Especially, all the problems seem to be solved, and then you had, issues with Ricardo. All right, fair enough, he ended up winning the race, but it was on fire in FP3. A complete rebuild. You don't want anyone doing that. There've been rumours that Red Bull and Renault Tag Heuer-
for Renault not to have a spare engine for him.
yeah, exactly. They were gonna.
Yeah.
There's been rumours for a long time that they're going to part ways. If they part ways, is Sainz maybe part of the deal that stays with Renault?
I mean, I guess that all depends on, and you've got to look at Honda, because if the Honda that's powering the Toro Rosso is what we've become used to with Honda over the last 3 years, Red Bull aren't going to want to put that in the car, and are we going to see another Red Bull turnaround where all of a sudden they like Renault again because
No,
they've got no choice?
I think they're going to have Honda engines whether they like it or not next year because
Even as a stop.
Renault don't need to supply Red Bull anymore because they're supplying McLaren.
Well, they're supplying McLaren, and also Red Bull had the de facto Renault Works agreement.
Yeah.
But they don't have that anymore
No.
because Renault have got their own team.
Yeah, but even that, I mean, like they were the preferred partner as well, weren't they? Even if it's not de facto Works team,
Yeah.
I can't see that being a thing anymore. I think we said fucking exhaustingly over the years that when they were slacking Renault off, you're talking about a team which is one of the most successful Formula One engine manufacturers in the world.
Yeah.
Renault all of a sudden aren't shit, and fucking shock horror, a Renault powered car, be it a Renault like a factory Renault team,
Yeah.
or a McLaren, or even still a Red Bull, a fucking Renault powered car will win a world championship in the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
I don't get why Red Bull went all kamikaze on it.
Yeah, it's very
Childish.
very fair weather friend sort of scenario, wasn't it? Ooh, 4 world championships. We've got a Renault engine, everybody. As soon as something went wrong, it's a tag engine. We don't want that name associated with Red Bull anymore. So, well, hang on a second. You didn't think it was too bad when we were winning world championships together. So, all right, might be the cutthroat way that Formula One works, but certainly not my ideal way that the world should
No.
work.
Sorry, I'm just I'm just looking at this and the table I've got with Renault wins as an engine supplier appears not to have been updated since 2015.
Oh, right. Okay. Fair enough. They have obviously won a few races since 2015. What with
The last one.
Yeah.
Last week. Yeah.
Yeah.
well, no, that was a tag engine.
sorry. I keep forgetting.
But no, yeah, of course, we all know that there's the rebadged thing. But
Yeah.
even that's a bad marketing move, really, isn't it? I think so. I think it's a bad marketing move because
Well, it's more so when you take into account that the Red Bull team now has another car manufacturer's name attached to it, who's not even anything to do with supplying the engine at the moment.
no, but I think going forward again, I think we're looking at 2021, probably Aston Martin making their own power units. But the stopgap that Red Bull are going to have to deal with for 2 years, maybe, is Honda. They're going to end up with Honda engines.
And then what does that do to Honda? You know, it's what do Honda just come in and supply Red Bull for 2 years and then get fucked off to the curb when Aston Martin want it?
Yeah, maybe. And I don't
Seems
think it'll be a
strange,
Red
doesn't
Bull
it?
team by 2021. I think it'll be Aston Martin Racing.
That's massively possible.
Yeah.
I'm still not.
I think Toro Rosso will become Red Bull.
I think Toro Rosso will become Honda.
Could do. Toro Rosso could become Honda, and Aston Martin could be
Aston Martin Racing with Red Bull as the title sponsor on it.
maybe
At
not,
the moment,
not-
we've got Aston Martin Red Bull Racing.
Yeah.
2021, we have Red Bull Aston Martin Racing.
Yeah. It's a total possibility, isn't it?
yeah, and the Honda team maybe with a bit of Red Bull sponsorship on it. But aside from that, it's not a full Toro Rosso, Red Bull cola can or whatever it looks like.
Yeah.
Totally undrinkable.
I didn't mind the Red Bull cola. It was okay.
Oh, no, it tasted a...
It was all natural cola. That's the thing. They try to use all natural ingredients, and when you do that, you end up with something that doesn't taste anything like everybody realizes is cola.
Yeah, I much prefer the artificial taste of other colas that... I mean, the biggest brand in the world claims to use, plant extracts. It's like carbonated beverage with caffeine and plant extracts.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm a Pepsi man.
Too sweet, too much sugar.
I like a Pepsi.
I'll drink it if it's chilled to within about 2 degrees of freezing.
Well, that's the only way to drink colas anyway, isn't it? Welcome to Three
Ice.
Legs for Cola.
With ice.
Out of a glass bottle straight out of the fridge.
Should we move on? Next story.
I think we probably should. What have we got? The Nico Rosberg Driving Academy.
Yes.
You too can learn to drive like Nico Rosberg.
No.
Can they? Well, if he's teaching people, then it shows you how to take your own line through turn 3 in Austria.
All I know is it'll be fucking inclusive.
Yeah.
No nationality is barred.
No. And strangely enough, no nationality is barred. But he signed 2 young drivers to his driving academy, which at the moment appears to just look after karting drivers. He signed up with Petronas, of course, still sponsors of Mercedes. But Nico was recently released as an ambassador of Mercedes. He's no longer doing that role. So in his driving academy, he has signed up.
When you say Nico Rosberg's recently been released as an ambassador, it's like they've been holding him hostage in the embassy.
Maybe they have. Maybe they have.
The SAS have just come in and freed him.
Love the idea of Julian Assange. Like, how did he manage it?
All the passports in the world.
That's where I'm going wrong.
Yeah, no, Nico signed 18-year-old Italian karting world champion whose name...
18-year-old Italian for now.
Yeah, for now. But he's got a very Italian name. His name is Lorenzo Travisanuto. And he's the world karting champion. And he's signed up to the Rosberg Driving Academy, as well as a 13-year-old English kart driver called Taylor Barnard. So keep an eye out for both of them. I'm sure we'll be hearing of them both in the future. But it'd be interesting to see how Nico gets on with his driving academy, quite how big he's willing to take it or wants to take it. Whether he'll end up with a Rosberg team in Formula 3 or something like that, who knows? He's using his it's his driving academy, but it's being managed by his karting manager from when he was driving karts.
Right.
Dino Chiesa.
That's it, yeah.
Also very Italian.
Very
sounding.
Italian.
Did any of you see the pictures of Alonso's academy?
Yeah, he's got about 30 drivers.
Yeah, but they all wear Alonso helmets when they do it. It's like there's a little Alonso army.
Yeah.
It's
And also Alonso overalls. Have you
Yeah,
noticed that?
it's
They're
fucking
the same
hilarious.
Colours, the same colours as the helmet.
Yeah.
Don't tell me, do they wear Kimoa hats when they're not on track?
They probably do, but I haven't seen them yet. They do have Kimoa on their overalls.
Yeah.
I want a Kimi Raikkonen Drivers Academy.
What time do we start training?
Oh, whenever you want to.
you want to turn up.
You'll sleep first, and then maybe we have a chalk ice. And then... there's no point in thinking about it. I have no power over that anyway.
Long drink.
Today we're covering PR.
And we're done.
I like the idea of like a seminar with, like just, drive fast. Bye.
Pretty much, yeah.
What are you pointing at? You're pointing at the thing I was about to say next.
Yes.
Formula One has actually finally, 3 races into the season, launched its official fantasy competition.
Yeah, which is, I think, is pretty good news, actually. An official sport recognised fantasy F1 competition.
Yes, and glad to say that they've not actually taken it on themselves. They've partnered up with a company called PlayOn, who've been running fantasy sports games for quite a while to do this. So,
And it's going to be quite a big deal from the sounds of things.
it is. I mean, they've already launched it. We've got our own league on there.
We have.
I think there should be a link on the website by the time you listen to this to join up with our league. We've already got the Grid Rival one going as well, but it's a different game.
Yeah.
So,
There's actual prizes as well, isn't there?
well, there's kind of actual prizes. It all depends where you live.
Right.
We don't get to qualify for the prizes on the Isle of Man.
But playing is a prize itself.
Playing is a prize in itself. They do I don't know if anyone's familiar with daily fantasy sports, which has been a big thing in the US for quite a while. It's basically a one-day fantasy sports game where you get your budget, you pick your team, just like any fantasy sports league. But it's just the winner after one round of fixtures wins that competition.
So it's just like
And
a fantasy accumulator sort of thing.
That sort of thing, yeah.
Yeah.
And you pay a small fee to join in that particular...
That
day.
particular competition.
Yeah, and then you get the jackpot if you win it,
And then winner takes the pot.
which sounds like a simple
So it's a bit like our predictor game, only
with money.
Only with money.
with money rather than biscuits.
But one thing that they are
Money
doing...
can buy biscuits.
This is for it's only available for cash in the UK, Ireland, and Australia at the moment. So anywhere else, like us in the Isle of Man, you can only play the free games that they're running. But they are doing free ones as well.
Yep.
They're hoping to expand to new territories as quickly as they possibly can.
It's still very new, isn't it? So it'll all unfold and grow as it needs to.
But and I think this is the big one for UK and Ireland F1 fans. If you take part in the fantasy game, you get to watch F1 TV. So the F1 digital service that we're not getting over here, that is included with the game entry.
That's cool.
So you sign up.
So you sign up, and every time that you play a game, you actually get to watch the F1 digital.
So does that work?
feed.
Does that work? Would that work over here?
No, because we can't play for cash over here.
Right.
As in over here being the Isle of Man.
Over here being the Isle of Man.
But is this a sneaky way of
Getting
them
F1 digital into the UK audience.
past Sky?
Yeah.
Fucking good. Like that.
Now, we are hoping to have something special for podcast listeners
Yeah.
with this. Nothing confirmed at the moment.
But keep your eyes out on our
But
Facebook page.
Keep your eyes out on the Facebook page. Keep a watch on the website. And I hope we've got some more news on next week's podcast.
Yeah, be cool.
Yeah. Hopefully, maybe, possibly even before the race in Baku.
Possibly. You never know.
That's why you need to keep an eye on our Facebook page.
That's why you need
Yeah.
to keep an eye out. But there could be something extra special in this for 3 Legs 4 Wheels listeners.
We haven't given the Facebook a plug for a while, have we?
Apart from every week.
Do we?
Yeah.
We say it at the end of the podcast every week.
Yeah.
But I mean, we could do with a lot more. We could do with a lot more likes.
Yeah, but there's a good, like, for want of better words, community there. Nobody seems to shout at each other.
No, the comments are all relatively sensible in
Yeah.
comparison to other...
YouTube.
No, because what happens
Well,
is when
everything's sensible in comparison
when
to
anyone
YouTube.
signs up for the clicks like on the Facebook page,
Yeah.
they get an automated email saying, "Do you comment on ESPN Formula One stories?" If the answer is yes, they get blocked. You don't really, but
No. But yeah,
go to ESPN, read the Formula One stories, read the comments, switch your brain off.
Yeah.
yeah. Or if you just want a funny 5 minutes, just go and read... what was the best one we saw? Something about Renault were looking for a Schumacher-esque driver. Like, they're going to sign Michael Schumacher. It's like, they're not going to sign Michael Schumacher. The man's in bed.
Yeah, I'm glad to. I'm glad to say. I'm glad to say that our listeners don't have those kind of, how shall we put it, cognitive difficulties.
Well, it's because they're used to such fine analysis on a weekly basis.
Why, who else do they listen to?
BBC.
Just a bunch of armchair mechanics.
Yes.
Yeah. You know not to listen to armchair mechanics. Armchair drivers, armchair team owners, armchair pundits.
No.
Armchairs.
No. Armchair team owners, that's fine, because if you're not an armchair team owner, how can you take part in fantasy F1 games?
Good point, actually. Yeah, you can be an armchair F1.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's fine.
But yeah, keep a watch out on our social media. It'll be on Facebook and Twitter.
Yes.
As soon as we've got any more news about this, we will let you know. But it could be something pretty good.
Yeah,
I
it
think
could
so.
be. And of course, if you do follow us on the social media, we'll be plugging it like hell. So
Yeah, loads and that.
Right. What have we got next? The mystery third Ferrari paddle.
Yeah, this is a story that's been developing over the last few days. It's been noted by some very eagle-eyed people that Sebastian Vettel and not Kimi Räikkönen has this extra little paddle on his steering wheel. It's on the right side of the steering wheel. You got your 2 gear shifters, one either side. Clutch paddle on the lower left side of the steering wheel, and then the really small paddle that you can operate just with one finger, like his index finger on the top right of the steering wheel.
Really confused me when you were describing it, because all the pictures I've seen of it are actually from the back of the wheel.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's on the left as you're looking at it on
Yeah.
picture that BBC and Autosport have put up.
Yeah, I don't know who's done the illustration, but it's on the
You
illustration
want to
you're
have a crack
looking.
at that signature? Because I ain't got that.
Let's have a look.
It could say Popeye.
No, you're all right. But yeah, if you look at it, it's sort of very small. Sort of, it's not. You don't need any more than one finger to operate that paddle, really.
Unless you've got really small fingers.
Yeah, really small fingers. But the thought process behind it, there's a video up on YouTube that Pete Wins has put up with Craig Scarborough, friend of the podcast, who is basically, he describes it to be something. He believes it's something to do with the power unit. Could be to do with harvesting.
Turns on party mode.
Could turn on party mode. Could be something to do with regulating the harvesting of battery power, so that they can choose to use or choose to harvest a little bit more when they need to. Or could be expelling extra battery power. Not quite sure. But Craig Scarborough thinks it's something to do with the power unit, whereas a lot of other people thought it might be to do with brake bias. I didn't really heard about it until tonight, sort of pre-pod.
Well, I think brake bias is usually a steering wheel dial, because they can literally dial it up and dial it back.
Yeah.
It would seem very strange just to have 2 settings for brake bias.
Unless he's had a problem
no,
where he's
unless
trying to adjust the brake bias while trying to adjust something else.
Or it's variable, and he can pull it towards him as he's going through the corner, and then release it as he's going out the corner, and that's some sort of, I think that was the idea behind that. But Scarbs is pretty sure that it's a power unit thing somewhere. It's to do with probably battery.
I'm going to trust the expert on this.
Yeah, trust not the armchair,
Not the armchair mechanics.
or the armchair drivers are also banned.
Oh.
Does that mean Formula E's not a thing now?
Yeah, you've got to be inclusive when it comes to armchair drivers. Otherwise, we all have to do Formula E standing up, which is an absolute sod if you're using a wheel.
Good point. Yeah, good point. I mean, you're banned from commenting on Sebastian Vettel's extra paddle. I was going to say extra long thing then.
Well, that's this podcast over and done with.
It is. No, it's not.
No, it's not. No, we got the computer working again. I see, Lee, you used your little 5 minutes of downtime while we were fixing a problem with the mixing desk and the recording software to plug Must See Audio in a tweet.
Yes.
Very good.
Yeah. Well, I
Wise
just,
use of podcast downtime. Now,
I ju-
hopefully, the listeners didn't even notice where that downtime.
I just realised
cut
that I
was.
hadn't posted the video up, the YouTube video of the last show. So
Oh, so you just did that then?
yeah.
Fair enough.
So-
I found a good picture of Carlos Sainz.
Oh, we've been cat invaded
We're now
as well.
being invaded. What's going on here?
Hello, Jensen.
we haven't had a podcat invasion for a while.
while Dan's
Oh,
put,
hang
putting
on
my-
a second. Just to prove that we have a podcat, I will.
Oh, no pictures or it didn't happen.
Yep, there we go. We have a picture of Jensen being podcat.
while
Just in
Dan-
case any of our newer listeners haven't met Jensen yet.
Yeah, he's a big cat. He's been with Lee since he was a kitten.
Yeah. Well, Dan's getting rid of the cat. I'm going to take this opportunity to remind people that there is a podcast called Must See Audio, which is the other podcast I do, which is like a comedy talk show. It's every week now. So go and search for Must See Audio.
Every
Nice
week.
plug.
How the hell's your liver going to cope?
Oh, we don't drink that much now.
You had to stop when you went every week.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
We're gonna have to work something out about the pizzas as well soon, because like a pizza every 2 weeks was good. We can't be having takeaway pizzas every single week.
No.
Alternate. Pizza one week, Chinese the next.
Again,
Other takeaways are available.
I've been doing really well through the week of eating like a piece of animal and leafy salad is basically our diet. And we vary the animal over the days.
That's what I'm doing. Lots of vegetables and
Yeah.
and a bit of
bit of animal.
Anyway, we've gone massively off tangent.
Yeah,
But Must
no,
See
we
Audio
haven't
is a
got
thing.
massively off tangent. We've followed it.
We've followed a tangent. So yeah, we were talking about the third paddle on the Ferrari.
Yeah,
Anything more to say about it, really?
Not really. I mean, it's on the list of mystery things on a steering wheel. Remember the magic button?
No.
I remember.
Was it Mercedes? Lewis had a magic button.
Yeah, but
I remember
Yeah.
Lewis asking for his steering wheel. I think it was his first, maybe his second year at Mercedes, asking for it to be simplified because it was way too complicated.
It's just fucking code for engine modes. I'm sick of all the bollocks about
Magic buttons, party mode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was in the days where the pit wall was allowed to tell the drivers what they could and couldn't do. Unlike the first Baku Grand Prix,
Which
of
was the first.
which the third one of them is happening this weekend.
Oh, seamless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seamless, like
Couldn't-
a knitted pair of pants.
couldn't hear the join. Bit like Lee's hair.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah, it's Baku this weekend.
It is.
For the second time, it's the Azerbaijan Grand Prix instead of the European one.
Yep.
You struggling with your headphones?
Yes, a
there?
little bit. I'm fine. Yeah, it's all right. Gremlins are everywhere today.
I'll turn the volume down. Is that any better?
That's fine.
Right, okay. It's not after midnight, is it?
No.
No, that's all right. So, yeah, it's the Azerbaijan Grand Prix this weekend, featuring the longest straight in F1.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be interesting for a couple of teams that don't have the speed and the power.
Well, especially seeing as, these cars seem to be going an awful lot faster in 2018 than they were in 2017. And we were expecting, 2017 was a lot faster than the pre-2017 cars. But this year they seem to have ramped it up even a little bit further. We were talking, I think last week or the week before, about cars maybe going around Austria in like a minute, possibly even less than a minute. I mean, the braking points are going to be all over the place. They're going to change so much for Baku because if you think of the terrifying speed that they were doing, they're going to be going even faster.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Grosjean's going to have to start braking round about the start of the straight now.
That's not entirely unfeasible.
Yeah, it's gonna be a killer on brakes, which is why I said jokingly last week, Lance Stroll will go off lap 2, turn 1.
Maybe,
Because
yeah.
he's not going to want to get caught out again on the finishing straight. Last year we had that amazing last lap from Bottas.
Yeah, which was incredible.
He stuck his engine in full qualifying mode, turned his radio off, and just went for it.
Yeah, he don't forget as well. He was one of the people who lost out right at the beginning of the race when there was a bit of a.
He drove into Raikkonen.
He drove into Raikkonen, but there was a few people and they lost out because there was safety car and the Force India drivers crashed into each other.
And then we had the red flag and
the Sauber drivers crashed into each other. Yeah, we had a red flag. So yeah, it was Hamilton's headrest came loose. Vettel got a time penalty for bashing wheels out. It all went off last year.
Ferrari forgot to give Kimi his steering wheel back when they were going for the restart.
Yeah. So it all went off last year. The Azerbaijan Grand Prix last year was probably one of the best races of last year.
I think so.
Yeah.
Least predictable.
Least predictable, with it looking like at one point that Felipe Massa was going to win, and then he retired, and then Danny Ricciardo took the win in the end.
Yeah.
As he said last week, he doesn't win at boring races. He only
No.
wins the interesting ones.
Yeah, because Bottas taking second place by a tenth of a second, literally on the line from Stroll,
Yeah.
just because of the out-and-out power that he managed to squeeze out of that Mercedes.
And he was running last as well at the end of lap 1.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot going on. We weren't sure, were we, about Baku when it first appeared on the calendar? We were like, give it
We
a
had
year
a bit
or
of
two.
a dull race, didn't we?
First year was a bit dull.
The first year, it also didn't help that we had some completely crazy GP2 races.
Oh, because it's the confusion over the safety car line.
Yeah.
Where's the safety car line and where's the braking point and how many people are going to run wide on turn 1?
I think there was a lot from the Formula One drivers of right. We really do need to show that we know what we're doing here. You know, there was,
And they kind of went calm out the other side.
yeah.
Whereas last year, it was just get in the car, shout Leroy Jenkins and go for it.
Well, I think the other thing you got to think is the first year we had it was we were in that period where it was a foregone conclusion and Mercedes was going to win that race, so the race wasn't there like it was last year.
Well, the 2016 one, it was Hamilton and Rosberg
yeah.
at the height of their rivalry. And then Hamilton had engine mode problems.
Yeah,
and,
His pit
He
wall-
crashed in qualifying, didn't he?
I think he did, yeah.
Yeah, the first Azerbaijan Grand Prix.
Yeah.
I think
Did
he crashed in
go out
qualifying.
Q1, didn't he? I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, he crashed in qualifying, and then he had that was the first one first race, as Paul was saying before, where we weren't allowed to tell the drivers what they were doing from the pit lane, and Lewis was asking all sorts of questions like, "I need to know what mode I need to be in." Sorry,
Yeah.
Lewis, I can't tell you that. You have to work it out for yourself.
In fact, I think it was that race, wasn't it, that got rid of all that silliness.
yeah.
Yeah,
I think it was where Lewis said something along the lines of, "I'm just going to try all the modes and see what happens." And the engineer said, "We can't advise you to do that, Lewis."
yeah.
Yeah, I think we called that show, I've got 99 buttons, but a switch ain't one.
Yeah, I think that was what that podcast was called.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it
Although, was that the same race where Lewis radioed in saying, "How's my pace?" And he said, "We can't tell you how your pace is, Lewis." Oh, in that case, how's the weather?
The weather's looking the weather's looking good, Lewis.
Yeah. I think that was that race, actually, yeah.
But yeah, as it turned out, Rosberg managed to, because he was having the same engine mode problems as well,
But managed to work it out
but managed to
quickly.
work it out for himself.
And we were saying that Lewis Hamilton should go away and do some homework, but then they changed the rules again and we're allowed to talk on the...
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those daft 2016 regulations that
Yeah.
seemed to blight the season.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, or the European Grand Prix as it was when it was first run, it's been in June, hasn't it, both times, I think?
Yeah.
So with it being earlier in the season now, in April, are we going to see not necessarily terrible weather, but because, you know, it's fairly... It's Middle Eastern-ish, but we're going to see maybe unsettled weather, possibly you know,
Maybe.
a sandstorm, wind. Wind could be a big problem.
Presumably, it's going to be a bit cooler, which
I just
will
wonder
affect
what-
the tyres.
Exactly. I was wondering what effect that might have. I mean, obviously, they had shark fins last year. They're not on the cars this year, so
No.
maybe wind isn't such an issue. But even still, you know, it's a big circuit as well, isn't it? This Baku circuit, it's very long
race.
Yeah.
In fact, is it the longest race now?
I'm not sure.
Can't be far off it.
Total circuit length is 3 3/4 miles.
That's quite long.
And we nearly hit the 2-hour limit, don't we, if I'm right?
If it runs normally, we did last year because of red flag and everything
Yeah,
else
yeah.
that was going on. I think.
Yeah, it was 51 laps last year in 2 hours. It's normally meant to be. Let me just.
So it's nearly a 2-minute lap.
Yeah, you look well. No, because of the red flag.
Yeah.
Because the clock keeps ticking. It's the lap times were sort of
1 minute.
1 minute
40.
40s in
Yeah.
qualifying, and fastest lap in the race was 1:43.
It's still a long lap though.
It's,
That's
it's,
like
it's a long
Spa,
one.
yeah. Old Hockenheim.
So, yeah, we could be. I mean, everyone's saying it's an engine killer as well, especially with that long straight because you're at full power. It's the longest straight in F1, and I think it's just falls below the FIA regulations where you have to put a chicane in.
Right. So you're looking at the sort of the longest a straight can be in Formula One.
Yeah.
then.
Pretty much, yeah.
And this is going to prove difficult, isn't it, for those who suffer with
Honda.
Yeah, those who suffer with reliability issues, and I hope Red Bull don't come back after such a strong race in China and have a disastrous one in Baku. But they don't seem to make that power unit work very well just for them. I mean, we were discussing it a little bit before, but
That'd be a bad one for McLaren as well because for some reason they always seem to be slower in the speed traps, don't they?
they do, and that it's not just that one straight. It's quite a lot of fast sections in Baku. Not forgetting, of course, the castle section, which we haven't seen anybody block off completely in race situation. How we saw Jolyon Palmer manage it in practice.
Which wasn't actually his fault because his car just burst into flames.
Yeah,
I wonder what they do in that situation because that'd have to be not only like a red flag, but
It happened in the GP2. I want to say it happened in the GP2 feature race last year, and they had to red flag it, and everyone just had to wait until they got a crane in, moved the car, and then go back to the pits and have a restart.
fucking hell, you wouldn't want to do that in a Formula One car, would you?
No, I mean the cars. Some of the cars were sat there for everything behind it was sat there for anything up to sort of about 5 minutes,
Yeah.
just gradually cooking itself.
I mean it's a bit of a spectacle, isn't it, where it goes really narrow and goes up through the castle. But is it necessary, really?
Yes and no.
It's a huge test of driver skill.
Yeah, it's one of the more interesting parts of a track.
It's nowhere that you're going to make a move, is it? If you're approaching that part of the circuit, there's no point in trying to make a move into the castle section.
No.
No, because you're just going to...
You
You're
need
asking
to be
for
online there.
Yeah, you're asking for an accident, aren't you, if you're going to try and make a move into there. So, yeah, as you say, you need to be online through that bit. So, really, it's all about the exit of the castle section going into that final really fast sector where there are, sort of 2-3 kinks in the road and then that super long straight.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's been Mercedes. Well, I'll say Mercedes dominated. Obviously, Danny Rick won last year, but, Lewis Hamilton would have won if it wasn't for that pesky headrest that you tried to hold down for however many laps it was.
And of course, we had the coming together under the safety car.
Yeah. When Vettel he got a time penalty for it, didn't he?
Yeah.
He crashed wheels with Lewis Hamilton, and then ended up finishing ahead of him anyway, which was bizarre. But we've seen sort of Mercedes dominance, but now we're looking at sort of Ferrari being the team with straight line speed. Corners, as we sort of said in Australia, Lewis Hamilton's qualifying lap, he was an awful lot faster than Kimi Raikkonen, who joined him on the front row. Do we think we could see a close fight, or
I think it's going to be close because it always seems to be close now. We went to the last race thinking Ferrari would walk away with it, but they were kept pretty honest, from the word go.
and by Red Bull and Mercedes? Yeah.
I think Red Bull might struggle a little bit just because of the size of the straights. But the big thing Ferrari seems to have is stability under braking. So that makes me think that they're going to be quite good around street circuits this year, So all signs say this might be another Vettel victory, looking at it,
Looking at it from the outside, almost a week before it happens,
Yeah.
I can see exactly why you'd think that.
I think we're going to see Haas do better than they ever have before.
I think you might be right. I think we'll see one Haas doing better than we have before.
Kevin Magnussen.
Probably.
Quite possibly, yeah. But I think that Ferrari engine might even be stronger than the McLaren, than the Mercedes one now.
Possibly.
Don't forget as well, Kevin Magnussen was running fourth for a large period of that crazy Grand Prix last year. He lost out because his Ferrari engine wasn't as strong as the ones that were coming up behind him. The Renault engine was kind of on par with Ferrari by this point last year, and Mercedes was stronger than him.
Yeah.
So Kevin Magnussen, if this is a track that suits Kevin Magnussen as well as we think it suits Lance Stroll, then could be in for an interesting result for K-Mag. Probably not for Lance Stroll.
I was
going to
say I don't think we'll see Lance Stroll doing anywhere near as well as last season.
In other news,
Water is wet and grass is green. I'm just looking at the tyre choices, and
some have gone incredibly brave, and I can't remember who.
it is Vettel, Raikkonen, Van Dorn, Ericsson, and Leclerc have all gone with 10 sets of ultra softs. It's soft supers and ultras again this week. Stroll, I would probably say him and Sainz are on the most conservative choices. Because both of them are using 4 sets of supers.
How many sets of softs?
In Stroll's case, 1. Sainz has gone for 2. Oh, and Hulk's gone for 2 as well. So Renault are using the same strategies.
See, I don't think that might not. I mean, obviously the ultra soft we saw it last year do almost the whole race. I mean, it wasn't a hard race on tyres at all.
Yeah,
Which, of course, they're different compounds this year, aren't they?
it's 1 softer.
But the was it Hypersoft is it or something? The softest soft.
The softest soft, which we're not going to see until Canada.
Yeah, but the don't forget as well, Red Bull failed to make the middle compound work for them. I think that was the first year they had the Grand Prix at Baku, and they had to go between the supers and the mediums, I think it was, because they couldn't get the soft tyres to work for them at all. They were well out of temperature range. They could not make them work. So
Don't forget that last year's soft tyres aren't going to be used this year. The same strength as last year's soft tyres, because everything's gone 1 softer. So last year's softs are this year's mediums.
yeah, but it was 2 years ago, I think. So it's completely different tyres.
yeah.
Yeah. But it's just
Well, then again, last year was 1 harder than that. I
know,
lose
yeah.
track.
So it's
last year's mediums are... Sorry, the year before last's mediums are this year's mediums.
possibly. I don't know. Are you still with us, or are you as confused as we are? But the
Today's softs are so yesterday.
tyre choice, I think, if you're taking more than 1 set of softs, it's because you're planning to use them in the race to run long.
So that would be Hamilton, Raikkonen, Ricciardo, Verstappen, Perez, Ocon, Sorokin, Sainz, Hulkenberg, Gasly, Hartley, and Ericsson.
Almost the grid.
Yeah, everyone.
Everyone except... Anyway.
Yeah, and you would expect the top 10 to
What is
shoot out
interesting?
to be on the ultras.
What is interesting is that Kimi is only going for 1 set of supers and 10 sets of the ultra softs. So that says to me it's going to be...
supers for the race.
I think he's going to try and qualify on the supers, which is a risk seeing as he won't be using them at all in practice.
Yeah.
Try and qualify on them. If that doesn't work, try and do Q2 on the softs and stay out extra long. Because if last year's ultras were nearly good enough for a full race distance,
Yeah.
this year's softs will be good enough for almost a full race distance, and it'll have to be a token, I've got to pit stop.
It's also further down the grid, Ericsson, well, especially the Saubers, both Saubers, Ericsson and Leclerc, and Toro Rosso's and Williams even possibly. Wouldn't be surprised to see too many people stopping at the end of lap 1 in case there's a safety car, and putting the long tyre on.
Yeah.
And a lap 1, lap 2, just in case there's a safety car.
I don't think you'll see as many gambling strategies like that. Last year, the only way Sauber were going to get points was if they took a gamble with the strategy and
they
it
kind
worked
of
for them.
Yeah, they did. They swapped their drivers round, and then there was a big fight afterwards because they should have swapped them back, but they couldn't because Stoffel Van Dorn was too close.
Yeah.
Force India, I reckon Force India might do that early stop and then try and hang the race out, because they've got so many good results doing that with Perez in the past.
Yeah, I mean, not even the hard, the soft, which is confusingly the hardest of the 3 tyres that's going. They might even try and hang out the whole race on the supers. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see people, if you have a poor qualifying as well.
Yeah.
Say, for example, Lewis does the same thing again, crashes into the wall in Q1. He's out. He starts near the back.
Yeah.
We're surprised to see him pit early and put on full race length tires from there on out, hoping that a safety car before the first pit stops brings him up to the back of the queue, and then he's within the pit stop distance to the front. Then, so
Are we going to see our first sort of definite two-stopper by every team this week?
These tyre choices, they were supposed to make more stops, weren't they?
This is what the aim of the tyres was, according to Pirelli, to cause more pit stops by making them softer and making them not
hasn't
last.
happened.
Seem to, though,
But
hasn't
it's not really worked. Are Pirelli going to get another slating for making the tyres not unreliable enough?
I mean, look at what Vettel was saying at the end of the Chinese Grand Prix. He said that his tyres were done. Was it no Bahrain? Sorry,
His tyres were done.
My tyres were done. They had no life left in them. They were done. And they did 30, more laps than they were supposed to. 30-something laps. But
Yeah, it was meant to be 23 laps that he was able to do on those tyres, and I think he did 31 in the end.
Yeah. And he said for his last 10 laps they were done. So they go off gradually as well. They don't just suddenly fall off the cliff. And again, who would want to be Pirelli? Make a tyre that gradually degrades. Why don't they fall off the cliff? Well, we can make them so that they do. Oh, do that.
Now it's fake racing.
Yeah, make them so they fall off the cliff. Nobody can manage their tyres. Why don't they degrade gradually?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, come on. It's a thankless task being a tyre supplier in Formula One. But I think that's what the races are going to come down to, tyre strategy.
Yeah. I think
And a clever tyre strategy, well-timed safety car. Because I think we'll probably see a safety car again.
There may be an issue with tyre strategy. Just looking at the weather forecast, it's supposed to be fairly sunny on Friday and Saturday, cloudy on Sunday, and a lot colder.
Oh, wow, okay. So you won't get the running of the cold temperatures until Sunday if it is cooler. See, I was wondering whether or not it might play a bit of a villainous part.
And of course, because it's so much earlier in the year, it's going to be a lot cooler anyway, so they're not going to have tyre data from last year that they can use.
No. Or at least correlate the tyre data from last year to this year's tyres. Or at least what they know about them. So, should we do predictions?
I think that would be a good idea.
You've got Sian's predictions already
I've
from...
got Sian's predictions that she sent in earlier, and she says she hasn't done a hero or villain yet.
That's fine.
But her predictions are Vettel, Bottas, Ricciardo. I better start writing these down, hadn't I?
Yes.
You know what that means?
Spreadsheet.
Yes.
You love them.
I use them.
You love them. But that's quite a brave choice from Sian. Vettel, Bottas, Ricciardo. 3 different drivers from 3 different teams. I don't know if Red Bull are going to have such an easy run of it this weekend. They may do. They may go out there and completely dominate the race. But this was also the place where they had all those Renault failures last year as well.
But I don't know, out of Ricciardo and Verstappen, who would you think could do the most on this sort of circuit?
Ricciardo.
I would have thought it's Ricciardo who's
He's
last
in the
of the late breakers and can do overtakes that way rather.
Well, he
than...
did a triple overtake last year, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, last of the late breakers. We saw that a lot in China.
Yeah.
When he's got, as I said again, a good tyre strategy. DRS. I don't know if they're modifying the DRS zones, are they, for this race? But that could come into play as well.
One long one.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with my top 3. I'm gonna say Raikkonen, Hamilton, Bottas.
Okay. I think.
And I think it'll be really close as well towards the end.
I'm going for a Vettel win because I think we're so far the 3 of us that have stated anything have said Ferrari have definitely got the pace.
Yeah, they have.
And what Ferrari appear to be wanting to do is strategizing Kimi to give Vettel the win and making Kimi the complete wingman. So I'm going for a Vettel win, and because something always happens, something seems to happen to stop Kimi from even getting on the podium unless there's shenanigans. Because he's been on the podium, but just because stuff's happened That's why I'm going to go for Ricciardo second
Mm-hmm.
and Bottas third. I think we might be without a safety car or a red flag, which will mean that Ferrari strategise Kimi into battling with Hamilton for fourth at best.
Which would be a shame because I think Raikkonen's day is coming. As we were saying before, he has shown that he's got the pace this year to be the faster Ferrari. Well, he has been at times the faster Ferrari driver.
He's been great in practice and some qualifying.
So we need,
and in the race until Vettel's ahead of him.
Yeah.
so they need.
They're making him stay out for those extra X number of laps when he's not got the tyres anymore.
Yeah, but if they, a strategy that they think would help Vettel could end up helping Raikkonen with a safety car, or the threat of an undercut. It can all change so quickly. Raikkonen's day will come, and I think it's going to be this weekend.
I don't, and that's why I'm going for Ferrari strategy team as my villains of the race, because they are going to strategise Raikkonen out of even getting on the podium.
Right. I think the Ferraris are going to be the faster team. However, I reckon it's going to be a Hamilton win. Because even when we've seen Hamilton be the faster driver,
Mercedes
It's-
first win of the season.
it's other teams that have won. It's not been predictable this year. So,
Yeah.
so Hamilton for a win. Vettel for second. K-Mag third.
Dan.
Now, this is going to be either
Can I guess
hero
your
or zero
hero?
stuff.
Hashtag bold prediction.
Bold prediction there. Yeah, definitely one of the Haas drivers for hero. And probably the other one for villain.
Because whichever one doesn't finish in the top 10, the other one will finish
Course
in the,
the
bottom,
safety car.
in the bottom 4.
Yeah.
I'm going to go hero, the inclement weather, villain, inclement weather. Be both.
Yeah. For all the reasons Dan just said, I think it's going to be a Lewis victory with Seb second, Bottas third, but it should be Kimi that's third, but he's going to be used. And I fucking swear, the amount of times he's going to be sacrificed over the course of the year, Alex Jones is going to be saying it's a Satanist, Zionist agenda by the time it's finished. So Ferrari will be the villains for
You're with me on the Ferrari strategy department.
for sacrificing Kimi again. And I think maybe even if there isn't a podium there, I think Dan's right. I think K-Mag might be the hero. In fact, fuck it. I'm going to stick me fucking Alonso, McLaren coloured shades on and say Alonso be the hero, just because it fucks people off.
Because he's going to help K-Mag, because he's going to help K-Mag get the podium.
No, because he'll be fourth.
So that is what we think. Let us know what you think. There'll be a little bit of thread on this on social media.
Yeah, there will. Probably on Friday or Saturday.
I would have thought so. And it's always interesting to see what everyone else thinks. And of course, keep up with our prediction league, which between the 5 of us from the podcast we are running. You'll find that on the website at threelegs4wheels.com.
Yeah.
And can I just point out I'm still winning this? I don't know how, but I am still in the lead. Although Dan made up a lot of ground from China.
Excellent.
Yes.
So we'll see who's in the lead at the end of race 4. Right. Get that guitar.
Is that time already?
It is.
I'm getting tired as well. It's going to be nice to shuttle this baby home.
No, Apollo 13.
Isn't that exactly what you said yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did shuttle the baby home. You gave it to Laura and then went to the pub.
Just to make it quick today, the first clue is going to be, I am.
That's a shake of the head. That's the wrong way to start.
Yeah. I was born in a crossfire hurricane.
Yeah, I was born Pedro de la Rosa.
Depressing Total Shunt theme tune. You don't even get any lyrics.
To the tune of Karma Police by the sound of it.
Yes, it was. Karma, the karma will come for the people who do not start Total Shunt with "I was born."
I've noticed actually I was looking at the Fantasy Formula 1 League.
And there's a
They've already
team
got-
called
there's a team called I Was Born.
Under a wandering star.
This one was sent into
No, there were
us.
2 places below him.
Okay.
This one was sent into us by Zach Henderson.
Oh, hello, Zach.
Oh, hello, Zach. Regular listener, Newcastle United fan, but nobody's perfect.
Yeah. I was born
Yay!
Yay!
in 1969.
Wasn't me then.
No.
1960. The summer of 69?
Maybe he got his first real 6-string as well.
Maybe he did. What's that make some years
That
old?
makes him a year older than me, and I'm 48.
Okay.
I raced in Formula Ford. Definitely not Paul.
No, a lot of people raced in Formula Ford.
Formula Ford used to be.
It was one of the stepping stones, wasn't it?
It was.
First stepping stone.
It was like karts, Formula Ford, if you were going open wheel.
Yeah. Yeah. It's now Formula 4.
I'm not sure whether this is a spelling mistake or
Okay.
his wife. So I'm going to say it how it's read. So how it's written,
Okay.
because you might know. I was once roommates with Mila Hakkinen. I take it he means Mika Hakkinen, but I've no idea what his wife's name is. And Mila sounds a little bit Finnish.
Mika Hakkinen's wife is Aya.
Is it?
Yes, because she used to be on TV all the time. ITV used to call her the Finnish equivalent of Davina McCall.
Well, there was
Make
time,
of that what you will.
there was times in that year where you saw her more than some drivers.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. The garage zoom in.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all know that shot. I was once roommates with Mika Hakkinen. Okay.
I'd like a guess as well.
Oh, right, okay.
So it's somebody who is 48 or 49 and
And possibly Finnish.
JJ
Maybe
Leto.
not.
doesn't like conversation, obviously.
Yeah, just wants a peaceful life.
Finnish drivers in and around Mika Hakkinen's time in Formula 1.
JJ later.
JJ Leto. That's about it.
Mika Salo.
Mika Salo, yeah, good point. Mika
Yeah.
Salo. Oh, Mika Salo, I think, was born in '69 actually.
Spent most of his career racing for British-based teams, so Formula Ford would probably be fairly on the radar. Should we go for that for a first one?
Yeah, we'll go
Yeah,
Mika
go for
Salo.
Mika Salo was our first guess.
I finished runner-up in Formula 3 to David Brabham.
David Brabham. Obviously, he was in the ill-fated '92 Brabham, wasn't he? Was he in Formula 1 much longer before that? Or was that his only season in the sport? Did he maybe do 91 as well? Like I can't really remember the back of the grid from that far back.
I remember all the rumours that he was always linked with a drive at McLaren, and nobody knew how.
But yeah, again, he came into the sport sort of 1990, 91, didn't he, David Brabham? So you're looking at somebody who was probably, you know, if they got to Formula 1, early 90s. So Mika Salo wouldn't be too far out.
Because
No.
he seemed to be knocking around throughout the 90s completely.
I have raced DTM. In DTM. No, she hasn't actually raced the series around the world.
I used a plane. I got to the Nürburgring first. I've won.
Right, okay. I don't know.
I want
much
a guess
about-
as well.
Oh, do you? I don't know much about DTM for that.
How old's David Coulthard?
It's where,
He would-
it's where Mercedes house their failed projects.
Because he was roommates and teammates.
And he would be about the right age.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be. David Coulthard. Did he do DTM for a bit?
Pretty sure he.
So, yeah.
Pretty sure he did. I think he went to DTM after he. Yeah. After he
Post
left,
F1?
Yeah, after he left Red Bull.
Being a roommate could be a trick question.
They may have actually genuinely been roommates as well.
Should we go for DC?
Can do then, yeah.
Yeah. Second guess
For now,
DC.
yeah.
I am a world champion.
It's not David Coulthard.
Has he won any other series?
Must have won something.
You've been to his museum.
I.
Come on,
have.
Paul, think.
I've been to his museum, and it was 6 years ago this week. I think it was 6 years ago tomorrow because I think the photos are about to crop up on the On This Day in Facebook. My annual look at me holding Coulthard's Monaco trophy.
Did you hold any of his World Championship trophies?
They were all in the premium bit of the museum that you got to pay extras to get into. You would have thought he'd possibly world champion in karting.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Because one thing I do remember about the museum was there was a lot of karts there because he went through the ranks in karting quite a bit before he went into single seaters.
He started late as well, didn't he, DC, in karts even? He started late, he was 8 years old.
Yeah.
He was like the oldest one in the junior kart.
Yeah, he turned up to the junior series and all the other drivers are panicking because they're up against someone that can actually walk.
Turned up to kart and he had to get a police check.
Yeah.
Use the toilet instead of the baby change station.
I have 3 American Le Mans championships. I take it it's spelled really badly. I take it to American Le Mans.
Yeah, there is.
There is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the ALMS series.
I'm not taking the piss either, Zach. I realise it's some crazy autocorrect has been going on around here.
Don't think it is DC.
Was Salo gone and raced in the US?
AC.
That joke's going to shake me all night long.
Oh,
I think.
boom, boom.
Yeah, possibly veering back towards Salo actually.
Yeah, I
Cause
don't know if he did go to the US, but we might not be looking at anybody finish at all, or just with the whole roommate thing in Formula One approximately the same time. We don't even know if you made it to Formula One. So I think we need a few more clues before we.
I think. What question we have? Have you got 2 more left?
I think so.
Right,
2 or 3.
He's got 3. I have 9 Le Mans podiums. Oh, what this actually says is I have 9 Le Mans podium.
I found out about the Le Mans series.
Lemons.
Yeah, which is an endurance series for cars that don't cost any more than $500.
That's amazing. Is that real?
Yes.
That's fucking genius.
And there's a rival series gone up against it called Chump Car.
Tremendous.
I want to drive in that series. That sounds amazing.
Do you know what? It's in moments like that you see the beauty of the human race.
Yeah, you do.
So how many Le Mans podiums was it? Was it 5?
9.
9.
9 podiums in Le
Jesus.
Mans. Wow.
That is no pun intended, but that is a long endurance career.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that means they've been racing for at least 9 days of their life. Just sat in the car.
Broom, broom.
Well, 3.
Well, yeah, because they don't do the whole 20. It's not like Nico Hulkenberg.
Talking of which, anyone see any of the IndyCar last night that got rained off?
Not yet.
No.
The bit from Sunday, what the Mayor of Hinchtown did in the Mayor of Hinchtown seat.
Oh, yes. I'm aware of this.
Yeah,
not.
they pulled them all into pit road under a red flag because it was throwing it down. And James Hinchcliffe was desperate to get out the car, and his pit crew wouldn't let him because the red flag period could end at any given second. It's like, guys, I've got to go. I've really got to go. Guys, I've been.
All right, if you won't let me go, you can clean it
Yeah,
up.
he did what Jensen threatened to do, but it was his own seat.
I'm sure they do it all the time.
Yeah,
It used to happen quite often.
Dirty.
yeah.
man.
I was listening to the commentary, and Lee Diffie read out a list of other drivers that he'd joined the club of.
Nice.
I think we're going to talking of clues. I think we're going to need another one.
We are.
I've just thought of the fetish-ridden McLaren. The fetish-ridden mechanic that whenever someone wheezes in the car, it's it's okay. I'll sort the pedals out.
Next clue.
Just jumping in his boxes.
No.
Um,
I'm just thinking, this list that Lee Diffie had, There must be someone akin to Virtual Statman who collects those figures.
It may have been Sean.
No, Sean doesn't do IndyCar, but if you can let Sean,
okay.
if you can let us know who does the job for IndyCar that you were doing for Formula One.
It's either does the job for IndyCar or does the job for urination.
Yeah.
Are we ready?
Yes.
8 of my 10 races in the 12 hours of Sebring. There was too many numbers there and it got me confused. 8 out of my 10 races at the 12 hours of Sebring have been podiums.
That's a lot.
So we're looking at somebody who is pretty bloody good
At endurance
endurance
racing.
racing.
Luca Padoa. No.
Is Michael Andretti any good at this?
No, he's
Rubbish.
I don't seem to recall him having. I think he's done the odd endurance race, but
I remember him at McLaren. That's it. That's all that needs to be said.
yeah.
Is Michael Andretti any good at it? Are Andretti's like Pokemon, where there's a certain Andretti for whatever situation you're in, like whether it be a water Andretti or a fire Andretti.
It's usually Mario, no matter who it is.
There's a factory somewhere in New Jersey. It just churns out one every half hour.
I've still got no idea at
No,
all. So
I'm-
somebody who's
I'm-
quite successful in America and racing
don't
Formula
have
4.
enough knowledge of sports car racing.
No.
You're fucking being smashed here. This one isn't. It's an extra question because I think that was your 10th anyway, but it's not really a handy question. I have one world championship.
That you said that before.
No, it said before. It said I've been a world championship. Now he's clarified how many.
It's one world champion.
One world championship.
Yeah.
So,
I can give you another Spaffer clue.
you might need to.
My Formula One career was short-lived.
And that's
Mika Sala had a long-ish career.
yeah. He just kept turning up after he retired.
I have been described by David Coulthard as Formula One's lost world champion.
Montoya.
Possibly.
Oh, he does a lot of endurance stuff.
I think you'll find David Coulthard's comment about Montoya was when someone said Montoya's been like a cannonball fired into the heart of Formula One. Montoya said he's more like a beach ball. So
That's harsh.
Yeah, I have no idea who this is.
Single world title. Don't think we're looking at a Formula One world champion.
How old's Andre Lotterer?
Not that old, I don't
He's
think.
not that old, is he? But
No, I don't think he is. His Formula One career was a race.
which you could describe as short-lived.
And he is absolutely legendary at endurance racing. Dan, I think you're the closest that we've got.
But he's too young.
We haven't
Should we go for it anyway?
We haven't got anything better. Are you Andre Lotterer?
I'm not.
Who are you?
I'm Alan McNish.
Oh.
Even I was desperately trying to find out who his teammate with Renault was then, because I was going to give you that, but you fucking jumped the gun beforehand.
That was a great one.
Yeah.
I can't think of one actually where you've been so fucking far away.
I wouldn't mind, but we say Alan McNish most weeks.
David Coulthard was closer to a world championship than you were with that.
We didn't even throw Scott Speed in there. And he's been a total shunt twice.
What's Alan McNish been a world champion in?
World endurance.
World endurance.
There you go then.
Well, he's now running teams and heart attacks and things.
Fair enough.
Zach, that was brilliant.
Yep, good
Yeah,
one.
thanks.
Thank you very, very much.
Well stumped. Didn't even cross my mind.
No. Right, if anybody wants to send in a total shunt, how would they go about it?
You can tweet me in a private message at a total shunt.
Sounds easy enough.
Yep.
And if you want to get hold of...
Fucking clues in the name.
You'd be surprised. Come on. You've seen the internet.
It never ceases to amaze me.
and not in a good way either.
No.
If you want to
So
get
many boobs.
if you want to get in touch with the rest of us, you can tweet the show at 3 Legs 4 Wheels, or you can get us on our individual Twitter addresses. Lee's obviously at Total Shunt. We have
At Flood21.
At Dan Dankleton.
and at Pablo100. Get us on Facebook. We could do with more likes. I think we're up to about 1701 earlier.
So yeah, let's make that 1800.
Let's make it.
before-
Let's make it
before next week.
1800. Get us on Facebook.
You must know, if you're listening to this podcast, you must know people who like Formula One. Nudge your friends, say, listen to this podcast, go and give their Facebook page a like.
In fact, let's have a good drive now. Like if you sat with this like on your device of choice that you listen to the podcast with, just go and share it on your Twitter profile or on your Facebook profile. Let's have a good share of it.
Definitely. But you can get us on facebook.com/3legs4wheels. We've also got the extra show that we do every week for our wonderful, amazing Patreon patrons.
Yes.
And we have the challenge going. If we get up to 250 Patreon subscribers by the time of the Le Mans 24 hour, we'll do the live blog for it again. And this year, there's going to be more than me doing the live blog.
Yes.
Where
I'm busy that day.
I have a child.
so me and Chris are going to be doing the live blog. We're at 100.
You have to say you're busy. You don't have to do it.
No.
Apparently, I'm glad no one asked what I was doing or what date it was or anything like that.
I didn't think we were allowed to ask what you were doing. Official Secrets Act and all that.
Well, you can ask. I just can't tell you.
Well, to be fair,
Or you can tell us, but then you'd have to kill us afterwards.
You disappeared last week, and all this crazy stuff's come out about Alison Mack and a sex cult, which I would totally get involved with, by the way. But the so was it you breaking? Were you doing that? Not involved in it. Maybe arresting her.
No.
Okay.
But if you want to find out what this Patreon malarkey is all about, we do an extra 35 minute show every week. Talking about
Usually 30 minutes. We were just lucky this week.
yeah, and we had the new camera this week. There's extra features on there. We might even have this week's in 360-degree video.
Yes.
But you'd only be able to find out by subscribing to Patreon. You sign up from as little as $1 a month, and all the money goes to basically keeping us going in microphones, cables, software, web hosting. Want to thank Cloud Above for the amazing job they're doing on our web
Absolutely.
hosting.
Thanks very much, guys.
And just want to thank all the new patrons that have signed up in the last few days. Where is my
Spreadsheet?
list on the web page? Let's have a look. We've got stop it. Aaron, John, Travis, Tim, Hunter.
Hurst Helmsley.
It's a single H. I did look at it and think that sounds very wrestling-y. I'm gonna have to use the phone app because Patreon's back-end website just repeats the last 5 that you saw. Where are we? So I've got Aaron, John, Travis, Tim, Tom, Nick, Edward, Ollie, Adam, Justin, Chris, Hunter. Thanks to Ivan for the increased donation, Andrew and Brian,
Thanks very much,
who
guys.
are all, who are all
Much
this month's
appreciated.
new patrons, and have to put up with us rambling about.
Whatever.
There was a lot of fire on this week's show.
There was a lot of fire.
Yeah. See, what you don't realise is that obviously the patrons realise it because I said it on the special Patreon pod, but this isn't free. It's free to you guys to listen to the pod, but to us it's not free. You know, microphones, spare microphones, leads, stands, cables,
Biscuits.
mixing desk, biscuits, computers, laptops. You know,
There is an alarmingly large amount of technology in this room that
Yeah.
goes towards putting this podcast together.
Yeah, it's crazy.
and as we said before, the amazing job that the guys at Cloud Above do, hosting this as well, just to make sure that you can get it, you get this podcast and listen to it.
Yeah.
So,
But
Patreon helps towards that.
Yeah.
So if you can afford to become a Patreon, do it.
yeah, and you might get us staying up all night to watch Le Mans.
Yeah.
I've probably been staying up most of the night anyway and tweeting about it, but
Even if
it'll
you-
just make it more official.
Even if you're just laughing at us.
They're laughing with us.
At us.
No, I keep telling myself they're laughing with us. It keeps
Keep telling yourself
keeps
that.
me sane. And if you want to be really old school about things, you can get in touch on email 3legs4wheels@gmail.com.
And P.O. Box.
Don't laugh, that might be happening soon.
It might have to happen, actually.
It might have to happen at some point soon. So
Well, can we not have a brick somewhere then?
A brick.
Yeah, well, people used to leave tapes for each other, didn't they, behind bricks, like a certain brick in the wall.
And you accuse me of being a hipster. Right, Formula Lee. Just a brief reminder. It's Baku.
This is for the armchair races.
This is for the armchair racers.
Yeah.
And the armchair mechanics that are doing the setup. That's the only bit of armchair mechanicism that you're allowed. It
Doesn't
is-
make you an expert, though.
No, that's true. It's Baku in a Williams in the wet.
Yeah.
Cut-off time is Monday the 30th.
30th of April.
7 o'clock UK time, 2 o'clock Eastern time in the US. It's always the Monday after the race. Send in your screenshots of your times with the date that you did it on. You can do those in a private message to us on Twitter or a direct message on Facebook. Or if you play on PlayStation, add me as a friend, Pabstar, and I'll be able to see your time. And then that'll save you taking a photo and sending it in.
Yeah, but also message Paul and tell him who you are, because otherwise
Yeah.
you'll just have your gamer handle. And
Yeah,
that's
for God's sake, tell me your real name, because otherwise I just end up with everyone's gamer tags all over the place, and I don't know who they are. I've got to keep the spreadsheet neat.
Yeah. We can't have a messy spreadsheet.
no.
That ruins my mojo.
Yeah.
I think that's about it for this week, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, you can always add me as well. I'm Lee Drummer 100 on Xbox and PlayStation.
You got the game on the Xbox now.
No, but just in general, I play a lot of Forza on the Xbox.
Ah, fair enough.
So.
Right, we'll be back next week. We'll have a race to talk about.
We will. We'll be reviewing.
We will be reviewing a race.
Yes, the Azerbaijan Grand Prix.
Yeah, like we said earlier, keep an eye out on social media because we're hoping to have some news about Fantasy F1.
Positive news.
Positive news in the next couple of days. It might
Join the league anyway.
join the league anyway. If you sign up, we'll put the link on the website, and that'll be all over Facebook as well. Again,
Play with us. It makes us happy.
makes us believe that we've got friends outside of this room. We'll be
What
back.
do you mean we don't?
Do you?
I don't know.
Oh, there you go then.
I'm still in the room.
Can we wrap this up so you can
Yeah.
all get the fuck out of this room?
Yeah, can we go home so I can go to bed, please?
Can you go home so I can stay at home and go to bed, please?
It's getting that late that it's almost getting early.
Yeah.
We will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye. Love yous lots.